Brother Dennis.
Grand Rising King, Nubian King.
Oh, debatable all Hotep edition has just begun. Alabaster, right on time. What you
And
got?
that's the sound of thousands of windows closing at one time.
I was gonna say, like, if you wanted to recreate that viral debate, Daniel Jones just signed for 4 years, 160 million, and
Good for him.
Lamar got the non-exclusive franchise tag. And that's the interesting part of the story. How do you expect things to play out for Lamar Jackson from here?
Okay, so Lamar got the non-exclusive franchise tag. That matters because exclusive franchise tag means you can't do anything. Non-exclusive means that another team can make an offer, and the team that tagged you has an opportunity to match that offer. So I'm shocked, honestly, that the Ravens put him on a non-exclusive tag. I'm honestly shocked that he hasn't gotten a contract up until this point. I know the fully guarantee has been the holdup, but it kind of feels like he deserves it. So the next step is we wait. And starting, I think, March 15th, teams can start to give Lamar offers. And if Lamar agrees to the offer, then the Ravens have a chance to match it. For that, the Ravens would then receive 2 draft picks. So we're off and running. This feels NBA-ish this offseason with all these players moving, Aaron Rodgers forcing his way out or having his way forced out of Green Bay, and Lamar Jackson right now seeming like he is going to leave Baltimore, right?
You know, just what this story really needed was like more weeks of talking about this. Like I don't understand how this didn't happen a year and a half ago, and yet here we are. Like this does feel like two people in a relationship and nobody wants to be the first one to say goodbye. And I don't understand, like, if the contract was going to happen, it feels like it would have happened a long time ago. Like this is getting to the point where it's feeling sort of insulting.
Yeah, you're right. If it was going to happen, it happened a long time ago. But I think that one thing the Ravens a year and a half ago, you're right. They should have done it before Deshaun Watson signed his deal. Because that's what's really complicated this issue is now Lamar's seen this fully guaranteed contract and he's right to kind of demand it. And the Ravens don't want to kind of set that precedent within their own team that they're giving out fully guaranteed contracts because they think that's a bridge that they cannot return from. They'll be in a bad situation for future negotiations. But you would have assumed at some point one side would have given in. But it's not, it doesn't seem like it's going to be Lamar Jackson because there's only one him. There's 31 other football teams. And finding another Lamar Jackson is going to be a lot harder than Lamar Jackson finding somebody that wants to pay him guaranteed money to go win an MVP and maybe a Super Bowl for them, because that's what he brings along with you. He brings along with him. He brings a chance at a championship.
Yeah, it seems like the people who would have given in would be the people who are desperate for the person that could walk away. Like the Ravens, like what do the Ravens have without Lamar Jackson? Like why are we even, like, I don't care. There's really no price tag that you could put on Lamar Jackson at this point when your whole offense is built around him. And we saw what they look like without him. And pardon me for pulling out the tiniest violin for all of these NFL teams who are like, oh, Deshaun Watson set the market in an unrealistic way. I'm sorry. There is a world in which Deshaun Watson is not in the league to have an unrealistic marketplace set for him. And none of these owners did anything about it. And so here we are where they're trying to reset things in a way that makes sense for them when every large contract in the history of the NFL has set the market, and they want this one contract to not do that. And Lamar Jackson is very within his right to get what he wants. And the Ravens are negotiating with nothing.
Well, the contract didn't actually do it because a lot of other quarterbacks did not have the fortitude that Lamar Jackson had, or they didn't care nearly as much about it as he did, and they took smaller contracts. And that's what the Ravens are pointing to, like Kyler Murray as an example. Maybe you should do something like that. And Lamar Jackson's like, no, I'm not Kyler Murray. I'm better than that, and I expect more. So the interesting question for me is not only where he ends up. I think a lot of people think the Falcons. I think Diana Rossini is saying that the Falcons are out of the race. But it's not only where he ends up, it's that if he goes somewhere at all, because that opens up a whole nother bag that we have to discuss. One of two things is like, is it him not having an agent? Is that impacting it? Or the other thing that I think is probably more likely is some sort of collusion or something close to it. Because I think the owners were very upset. And maybe, I guess technically it wouldn't be collusion if they did not coordinate and talk about it. But I think owners are going to be hesitant to step out there and give him this contract because they don't want to be treated the way that Jimmy Haslam, or at least be talked about the way that Jimmy Haslam was talked about after he gave Deshaun Watson that fully guaranteed contract. But they all want to win and they're all competitive. So I think when it comes down to it, someone's going to call Lamar Jackson, whether he has an agent or not. You don't need an agent when you're not looking to negotiate. And that's like one of the things I push back on people who say Lamar is hurting himself by having an agent. You don't need an agent. If you say this is what I want, I'm not signing until I get this. There's no negotiation. It's a simple conversation. Yes or no. Can you print these numbers on a piece of paper for me to sign? Yes, thank you. No, I'm going home.
I'm glad you said the C word first because it was on the tip of my tongue. This feels like a reset. Like it feels like it's possible that there could be like a collaborative resetting of a market of like, we're going to make sure that this guy who wants the Deshaun Watson contract, like this is going to be the new Deshaun Watson contract. And we may all agree that that's what it's going to be. But I would not say that. Of course, I'm a responsible journalist. I wouldn't say those words like that or accuse anybody of doing those things. But it feels like there's a possibility of that sort of thing because far be it from the NFL to ever take part in any sort of collusion in the past. So the Falcons thing is also the Falcons thing is also kind of interesting. Like you wanted Deshaun Watson more than anything, but you don't want Lamar Jackson. Like I'm not totally sure why they're out of the picture. This is all everybody's. I think strange.
The argument for them being out of the picture is you don't want to give up the compensation needed to get him. I mean, Deshaun Watson, you had to give up compensation to get him too, but it's not nearly as high as I think. What are we looking at? 2 first-round picks,
2 first-rounders, yeah,
for this one, and so that I guess that could be an argument against it. Not wanting to upset whatever quarterbacks you have because they did just get a rookie last year who I don't think they believe in, and Desmond Ridder, right? So they haven't answered the quarterback question. I do think Lamar with Arthur Smith down there, given the success that he's had in Tennessee with Ryan Tannehill, who is a similar quarterback to Lamar Jackson, and given the success that Lamar Jackson has had with tight ends in his career, putting him with Kyle Pitts, it's an exciting opportunity, and also the obvious one, putting Lamar's black in black Atlanta. Oh, it feels just right. It feels right. They need to do it because in black Baltimore, he's not going to stay there anymore. It seems like he needs to find another black city to play in.
There's so much. I feel like the city of Atlanta has so much like unfinished business with celebrating a black quarterback. Like the city was like right on the precipice of like having the blackest quarterback celebrations of all time, and it was robbed. It was robbed of everybody, and you could not do that. And everybody's just gearing up. Just got to pull the same, pull some of the grills out the garage. Get the turkey legs that have been in the freezer for 15 years, 20 years, and just let's go party. Let's bring them down to Atlanta.
Well, I mean, I'm in Washington, which is known as Chocolate City, which I'm not sure how chocolatey it is anymore. This would be another great place because they need something positive around here, something to be excited about. And it probably would boost the value of the franchise just before Dan Snyder sells it. But I don't think they are in the market for that. However, it would be nice to see Lamar with Eric Bieniemy and reunite Riverboat Ron with a dynamic athlete at quarterback. His most successful seasons were in Carolina with Cam Newton. There's lots of reasons. I mean, if you don't have a starting quarterback, you need to call Lamar and sign him or send him an offer sheet and see what's happening. Like if you don't have a guy that you believe in, I think all the teams should, including the Jets, even though it seems like they are pretty much heading for a marriage with Aaron Rodgers, which who knows?
Well, Alabaster, I'll let you go.
Oh no, you go.
Okay, well this feels
I'm
like
irrelevant. Trample.
Okay, that's good to know. This is a uniquely NFL story to me. Like this feels like a uniquely NFL thing. Like if any NBA or baseball player of the caliber of Lamar Jackson ever came close to hitting the free, like everybody would be falling over themselves. Draft picks would not matter. The future of your franchise would not matter at all to get a guy like him. But the NFL is so in this other thing of like unwritten rules and what owners think and contracts, stuff like that, that we're in these debates and this back and forth stuff that never makes any sense. You have a guy who can win you a Super Bowl, which is rare that you have a one-person Super Bowl potential available to the market, and everybody is using all of these arguments instead of the obvious thing. Go get the damn guy and sign him to your team. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I would be nervous if I was Lamar about going anywhere because I think because of his talent, there are coaches and coordinators who will have a hard time maximizing his talent.
Mhm.
Some people could argue that he's been in a place where the coach has not been able to fully maximize his talent or develop an offense that was more dynamic because he's shown the ability to do a lot of different things. But the one thing that he does the very best and that no one else in football can really do is, I guess, maybe Justin Fields is coming close to it, but no one does it the way Lamar did it that MVP year. And he's still presumably physically able to do that stuff. That's the best thing that he does. And they fall back on that a lot. So as much as Lamar may want to get a fully guaranteed contract, I think he has to be conscious or of where he takes his talents and who he marries him up with because as we know while players on the field it feels closer to a meritocracy, the guys upstairs it's not a meritocracy when it comes to coaching positions in football. So just because the guy's called offensive coordinator doesn't mean that he's capable of coordinating any offense, and Lamar is a unique offense.
You did say conscious. I respect that, my conscious brother. I overstand you.
All right. I think we got that one. Check. And now on to your favorite quarterback.
That's
Alabaster.
right. Do you think it's more likely that Aaron Rodgers is a Jet or a Packer next season?
Yeah, so Aaron Rodgers went on his darkness retreat, told us we was going to have some answers when he came out. He came out, we ain't had no answers. His time in Green Bay, it kind of feels like both sides are ready to part ways. So I think the answer to your question is the Jets. Like, I kind of expect him to go to the Jets. Once you start allowing your future Hall of Fame franchise quarterback to talk to other teams, which is what the Packers have done, is they're allowing him to talk. And I think the last thing I read was Woody Johnson and a lot of the big wigs for the Jets got on a private jet to go to California and holler at Aaron Rodgers. He could have gone. Like, to me, I don't know how you come back home after that. You can't be out here convorting with other people and that think that you could just come on back. So my answer is the Jets. You got anything different?
Let me start this. Darkness retreat, and here I thought that's what the NFL called his head coaching hiring process.
Man,
man,
I like that. I like you delivered it too.
put me on your show, Bomani. I can write jokes too. Come on, buddy. Yeah, no, this guy's gonna be a Jet. I mean, like this is another bad relationship that needs to have ended a long time ago. Feels like he's held the Packers hostage for like 4 years, and the Jets are a team that feels a quarterback away. Like, even a diminished, quote unquote, Aaron Rodgers, who had maybe his worst season ever last season, still good enough, I think, to take a team like that further than than any other options. Obviously, there's the Lamar Jackson of it all, maybe ending up there. But I think if you get Aaron Rodgers and you're on a team and you have a team that's on the precipice, just get the guy and try to make it work.
Yeah, I think the Jets, because of the card that Alabaster just putting up, the Jets is one of the locations that's good for Aaron Rodgers. So Rodgers is under contract through 2024 for over $100 million, which is not all guaranteed, but I think it's nearly 60 of this upcoming season. But because the Jets have done such a good job in the recent draft, they got a lot of guys for a few years that are going to be playing above their heads, like all pro level guys on rookie contracts. It reminds me a little bit of the Broncos that won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. Is they paid Peyton Manning a bunch of money. They lost in the Super Bowl, and then they won the Super Bowl when Peyton Manning was atrocious. But they had Von Miller on the other side, who was a future Hall of Famer playing Hall of Fame level football at rookie dollars, which allows you to fill in around him. I think we talk about how having a quarterback on a rookie deal is the best way to win a championship. Yeah, but having anybody who's incredibly impactful on a rookie deal is a great way to win a championship. You see in Dallas, that defense is outstanding in part because they got a couple really impactful players in Diggs and what's the terrifying guy's name? Micah Parsons. There we go. In rookie deals that are very impactful. So the same thing is true for the Jets, from the receivers to the cornerbacks to the running backs. They got young guys at tackle. They got young guys who ain't taking up much of the cap. You add Aaron Rodgers to that, he doesn't have to go back to MVP level Aaron Rodgers, but I still think he's capable of that. Like, I think last year's kind of rough season was in part because of injuries and some young receivers. I don't think he just completely fell off a cliff after 2 MVP seasons.
Yeah, I think the Peyton Manning comparison is apt. I think the Tom Brady is also, to the point of like, you've seen the blueprint. You have former MVPs, and even last year, Aaron Rodgers gutted out 2 or 3 of those wins just by being Aaron Rodgers, and like that's the difference between a 9 and a 12-win team, and that's the difference between, a division round and a conference championship round. Like, you just go in the playoffs, you give me one or two great Aaron Rodgers vintage games where you get us a win, we can win the Super Bowl with that. And that's really what you're paying for. You're paying for those 4 or 5 wins on a regular season and plus playoffs where you can, take us to the Super Bowl and let everybody else handle the rest of it.
Yeah, I mean, when you get into the playoffs, particularly in this AFC, like, you can imagine a team like sneaking past an all-time great quarterback, but you're going to have to sneak past 3 in the AFC. So it's going to be really hard. You're going to need somebody to step up. And to the point that I was making earlier, you need somebody to kind of overcome the coaching. And if it's going to be a defensive end or a rush in, it's going to be a lot harder for that to happen. But if your quarterback can overcome coaching or overcome the situation or lead you on a miraculous comeback one time in the playoffs, that might be the difference. When you go back and look at anybody's Super Bowl run, there are always plays in there or situations or games that like could have slipped through your fingers, but one great player had a great game. And when you're going up against Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow, and also maybe Lamar, depending on what happens with him and the Ravens, like, there are no weeks off. You're not going to be able to grit your way through the playoffs. At some point, your quarterback's going to have to black out and put the team on his back. What's up, Alabaster?
I just want to note that Aaron Rodgers has 2 playoff wins in the last 6 years. Do you guys really have faith that he's that dude?
Yeah. I mean, that's fair criticism, but he does have also 2 MVPs in the past 2 years. So, like, and he does have a Super Bowl win. I don't know. I think it's fair to be critical of Aaron Rodgers' performance in some of these big games, especially I think the 49ers was the one a couple years ago that was really, I think he put up like 10, 13
maybe. Yeah,
points. It's like, I understand that 49ers D was good, but it ain't that good. You at home, and so yeah, it's fair to be critical of him, but I guess this is always the tough thing is, what's your alternative? What's your alternative? Like, I'd rather have Aaron Rodgers and cross my fingers and hope that he gets over whatever playoff dramas he's had in recent years than be out here trying to, like, I don't know, wait for the Titans to cut Ryan Tannehill and then banking on him. Like, that's not the same as Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, the alternative is what, Garoppolo, and I feel like, you're in the same position as you were before. If you have Garoppolo, you're totally relying on the defense and those position players. Aaron Rodgers is going to win you more games than Garoppolo will easily.
Well, there's another option. If Aaron Rodgers is at $59 million, why not just poison pill the contract for Lamar Jackson and try and get him? And it's like, if the Ravens match it, they're going to have to pay something crazy, or you can have that guy with this team and this defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's smart too. It'll be, I don't know what the compensation for Aaron Rodgers is, but you would assume that it's at least 2 first-round picks. So I think that's probably maybe even a better idea to bring Lamar up there over Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, either is better than what they're currently looking at. So go for it. I think having Lamar out there might help from a negotiation standpoint, or having Aaron out there, like, just having options, I think helps the Jets, because it didn't seem like they had any before this.
And these windows are important. Like, you look at the Jaguars a few years ago, going deep in the playoffs with no quarterback, and it's like, just a decent quarterback would have made the world of difference. And now that window is sort of closed, and you're rebuilding from scratch. Like, the Jets.
That's a perfect example. The Jags are a perfect example, because that game they lost to the Patriots, they actually outplayed the Patriots in that game. They should have won. Right. But if they had a quarterback that they could trust, they might have taken a few more chances and really blown out the Patriots in a way that they probably deserved to in that game. It was close because they were trying to hide Blake Bortles all game.
Hey, Nathaniel Hackett, good friends with Blake Bortles. You never know. He could be the guy in New York.
Natty Hacks. My guy.
Let's pivot to some NBA. Is the Celtics slump, they've lost 4 or 5, a real cause for concern, or just some regular season malaise?
All right, so the Celtics lost 4-5, as you mentioned, 2 to the Knicks, 1 to the Nets, and 1 to the Cavs. Like, I guess it depends on how you're framing this question. Like, I don't think that they're in trouble as far as this team is concerned. Like, they're still number 2 in the East, and midseason malaise is fine. Their last loss, like Jason Tatum didn't even play in that game. So no, I don't think this team is in trouble. But if you're looking at a championship team, I don't care about these 4 of the last 5, but I do think they're in trouble because they got to mess with Giannis and they got to mess with Embiid. And Robert Williams ain't never been healthy a day in his life. Like from his knee to his hamstring, he's only played 28 games this year. And as good as the Celtics are on defense with or without him, you're going to need somebody to match up. You're going to need somebody to match up with Giannis from time to time and somebody to match up with Embiid from time to time. You can't team defense your way out of Giannis Antetokounmpo. So that, yeah, as far as championship is concerned, I don't think Mike Muscala and Luke Cornett are going to get the job done against Giannis. But as far as this team is concerned, just regular concern, I mean, Tatum will get healthy and they'll win a bunch more games. It was in New York. It's fun. They probably had a good time. I'm not worried about these last 5 games.
Yeah, I am kind of worried that the offense has sort of fallen off a cliff since December 1st. That Robert Williams just they've only played like 80 minutes together as that starting lineup. I have no faith that he's going to be healthy. What this looks like to me is a team that's a little tired. Like they had an incredible run starting last December, whatever they started their run. I think December 1st, December 15th, or whatever they catapulted to the top seed and had a deep playoff run, and then they had the Ime Udoka thing, which was an emotional sort of issue that causes problems with them, and then they came back like fire at the beginning of the season, and they're started off this calendar year looking kind of looking a little tired. Like the amount of threes that they're taking is kind of alarming. They've been setting a record for how many threes they're taking, which indicates to me that there's a little bit of fatigue in terms of driving to the basket. That game against the Nets, blowing a 28-point lead, the way they blew it, like there's a lack of focus going on, and they have another deep playoff run ahead of them where they are going to have to play a Giannis, and they're going to have to play probably Embiid, like probably both of them to get to the finals. And then when you get there, there's going to be whoever in the West is waiting for you. This just seems like a long road that is kind of wearing this team down, and it's a concern.
Yeah, you said a bunch of things that I think are interesting, like mentioning the Ime Udoka thing. Like the scandal that he was involved in not only took an emotional toll on his team, it also took their coach away. Then they brought in Joe Mazzulla as their head coach. I think there's been fair criticism of what he's done so far this season, and he's a young coach, and so we'll see. You can't expect him to be up to the level of a veteran coach when he gets into playoffs. But this card that you just put up right here is kind of embarrassing, and it also could speak to the fatigue point that the Celtics led by a combined 57 points in their last 3 games, and they lost all of those games. None more painful than the most recent one to the Cavs, where I think we got the tape. I don't even got to explain it to you. You can enjoy this sadness of Grant Williams right now. So this is where Grant Williams told Donovan Mitchell, I'm going to make both. Grant Williams was fouled just before the end of the game, and he missed the first one, but that's all right. It's only
okay.
0.8 seconds left. You got to
You
hit
only
the
need to make
second
one. Oh, okay. Oh, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it's commendable that they could take the Cavs to overtime without Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown was making some pretty, like, I didn't realize how good his footwork is or how good it has gotten. Like, he still can't drive, but he had some Kobe level footwork shots in there, which was impressive. But what it comes down to is they solved one of their big problems to me from last season by bringing in Malcolm Brogdon. They were looking for Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown to handle the ball in clutch situations more than they needed to. They solved that problem. But the other problem is Time Lord being healthy. You can't solve that problem. They can't find a center because these other dudes, they ain't it. They can hold things together while he's not out there, but he's going to have to log consecutive games of major minutes if they're going to get deep in the finals or deep in the playoffs this year. And I have no reason to believe that he's capable of doing that.
Yeah, another thing Joe Mazzulla has to figure out is this point guard situation. I mean, Brogdon seems like a better clutch, guy closing out these games, but Smart's got to play defensively. And this is a tough lineup thing for a first time coach to figure out, especially if you're talking about benching the defensive player of the year and making those tough decisions. Like we saw in the finals last year, Kerr had to figure out, he benched Draymond in pivotal moments. That's like a thing that takes veteran and trust and all that stuff. And you're a first time coach. This is what it's all about. And like these are the decisions that will determine if you win a series or not. And you gotta just make them.
I got the solution for you. No Brogdon or Smart. Go with Pritchard. Let's go Peyton Pritchard to close out the games, baby. Yeah?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no? little gym rattiness. Yeah, I think his sneaky athleticism will really throw off the defense.
Gosh. Oh man. All right. I emptied the tank on all my Celtics takes for a long time. Also, can we show a picture of White? Do we have White? I miss White. Where is he at? Bring back White.
We'll add White in post.
White is somebody who definitely does not say Grand Rising in the morning.
He's a big good morrow guy.
Yeah. good morrow.
I got a couple what are the chances for you.
Early bird gets the worm. I know I can imagine him saying that all the time.
And I hope you too are having a wonderful morning.
Wakey, God. Eggs and bacon first thing in the morning.
Oh gosh! All right.
All right. Speaking of corny dad sayings, got a tweet for you guys here, and it goes to this: what are the chances? What are the chances LeBron is a good talent evaluator? And here is the tweet.
Yep. So LeBron was watching basketball last night, and he said, "Man, Bronny definitely better than some of these cats I've been watching on League Pass today. Bleep, lightweight hilarious. Ha 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 ha. Laughy face." So first of all, 3 is the max. 3 is the max emojis. Like I thought that I made this clear last year on Debatable. If you're trying to be emphatic with something, you go 3 emojis. Anything more than that, if you're trying to do repeat emojis, 3 is the tops. LeBron's talent evaluation, I think his track record, I guess he's responsible for building teams that won 4 championships, but I'm not sure that it's because his talent evaluation is all that great or because his talent is really great. And he's just looking out for his son here, which I don't think is helping his son, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the percentage of the emojis, 3%. We're going to do that.
3% emojis.
3% of emojis is LeBron's. You remember when he told who did he tell the Heat to draft all those years ago?
Oh yeah, there was a guard in college that was balling.
Shabazz Napier.
Yeah, Shabazz Napier.
He said almost the exact same tweet out and was like, "Miami better get Shabazz Napier. He's a dog."
They went and
got
him.
Left.
He left. I will give 50% because LeBron thinks he's good, so that's a good job. He evaluated that talent.
He did.
His son, on the other hand, like I can't be. I don't know how good his son is. Like I just, like everyone else, am not watching a lot of high school basketball, just listening, and it feels like he's not as good as, or he's not on like NBA level track right now. Like he's gonna have to go somewhere and develop some more skill, from what I understand. But I guess when your dad's LeBron James, you go ahead and get that Nepo love, which I am in favor of. Good for LeBron. Get your man a Nepo spot on the roster.
I'm all for it. If Nathaniel Hackett can get a coaching job, then LeBron James' son could be in the NBA. I think I want to know what game he was watching. Like, what exact game was he watching?
What time was it? That's a good question.
Yeah,
and also, what was he sipping on? Is this a wine night? Because I feel like LeBron is not tweeting that out sober. Like I'm just guessing. He knows what he's doing, or maybe it's intentional. I guess I don't know what there is to gain by doing this. All you do is like bring more scrutiny on your son. It's not like it's actually gonna help him, but
you just have people like you just make people like Domonique come on the show and say your son's not good enough to be in the NBA, and that's just kind of like counterproductive.
I mean today, I don't think that anybody would think he was, but at some point he will be. He's good.
Yeah, I think there's a shot, and if he does a year in college.
To be fair, I don't know. I haven't watched him play, and I'm also not a talent evaluator. I'm basing it on what other people are saying. So I assume Alabaster has done the research and can tell us what game he was watching.
So it's a juicy little nugget. He tweeted at 11:45 p.m. Eastern, maybe right after the double overtime Celtics loss.
Yep,
could have been Bronny would have hit those free throws.
Yeah, that's
or maybe he was saying, hey, Cleveland. Hey,
Yeah,
Cleveland, get my
Cleveland
son.
don't- yeah,
I'm coming
yeah.
back.
They don't
Cleveland, we
need-
did it for you, Cleveland.
They got Garland, they got Mitchell. They don't need him out there right now.
I wonder if he tweeted this before or after he drew another picture of Bart Simpson and talked about his art expertise.
You heard about his dreams? We're not going to turn this into a whole LeBron show. What's next?
Come on, you got to bring up the dream tweet. You got to
All
talk
right.
about him
You got
potentially.
it. You got it.
Because, his bladder choked. Let me just read the tweet.
Wait, what? What? I
You
missed
didn't-
this one.
You didn't hear about it?
Okay,
Okay, listen.
All right.
Just
All
woke up from having a dream that MJ and I was shooting the back and forth at the men's national championship game between North Carolina and Duke. Great vibes and epic classic game. It was a tie game, 94-94. 5 seconds left. NC with the ball. My would wake up to use the bathroom right before seeing the ending of the game. Facepalm emoji. Happens all the time. Never get to the end. Anyways, felt real as hell. Lol. Good morning, everyone.
Good rising, everyone. It's LeBron James. So, in LeBron's defense, I think everyone else interpreted shooting the as him playing one-on or playing against, like he was on Duke and MJ was on North Carolina. Like, it sounds like they were just talking. Like, shooting the to me is like we just talking at the basketball game. Like they're watching the basketball game.
Yeah.
I think people try to make it out to like LeBron versus MJ, but that's not what it was. And obviously, MJ would have lost because LeBron's better.
Well, Shannon, this is just proof that LeBron can't even close out a game in his dreams.
Well done, Skip. Appreciate it. Skip. I don't have a Shannon. I was about to try one, but I don't have one. I also don't want to fight Shannon, because he seemed like he wanted to fight the whole Grizzlies team.
I think it's for the best that LeBron James not had too many injuries in his career, because this guy is clearly just bored out of his mind and things just fall off the rails when he's just sitting around doing nothing.
He is bored. All right, what's last? Looks like Giannis. What we got on Yanni?
Got a clip here. What are the chances Giannis did a good job of stat padding?
Oh yeah, that's about it. This was going to get him a triple double. He needed one more rebound. His bench was like cheering him on, encouraging him to do this. He did it, gave him the triple double, but then the NBA came back in and was like, you know what? That's grimy. We're taking that stat back. No triple double. So the chances are 0. He didn't do a good job. All he did was get all the ridicule for doing that and not get the stat.
Yeah, 0%. Just another proof that the only person who doesn't stat pad in the league is Jokic.
The true Alabaster King.
Yes.
Jokic. Yes. Yeah.
Jokic is he doesn't stat pad, and I believe.
Did you? So now that we're done, we can do this now. So at the end of the show, so it'll make it easy for Alabaster to cut it off should he need to. How were you made to feel by the first take beef? I guess it'll be yesterday morning when you guys are watching this, between JJ Redick and Kendrick Perkins.
I don't know what it was. I don't totally know what happened. I don't know.
It was uncomfortable and weird and like aggressive and like, glad they not.
I said what I said.